Warning: this program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
The Queen has fallen, and delves are calling, as the last acts of our first foray into the war within come to their conclusion. So welcome back for episode 153 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berserker, and with me once again is the man who proves you can never have too much of a good thing, Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
Hi, dude. How's it going? Man, feels like the weekend I just vanished and got devoured in a haze of loads of different things I had to do. You know those
happens.
Weekends where you just have just tons of stuff you got to do, so it's not relaxing at all, and then it's Monday.
You know what? That's the life
Kinda
of
felt
every
like that.
working parent. Let me tell you, it's just one thing to the next, and it's why every time you and I record, I always say, this is people have to understand the true, as we've said, cinema, the pure joy and beauty of the fact that you and I are able to align this one window in our lives to get together and talk about Warcraft, because it's just
For sure.
shit breaking loose everywhere else.
I mean, I can't imagine throwing kids into the mix as well. Like even during my raid earlier, and if anyone from my guilds listened to this, I really apologize. But I was like, my bosses were messaging me on Slack saying, can you do this? Can you do that tomorrow? And I was like, oh man, I'm trying to raid it. It's the evening on a Sunday. Can you not leave me alone?
Brutal.
And it's publishing, bro. There's no downtime in publishing.
No off days in news.
Yeah.
Oh
But,
man.
well, yeah, we made it.
This is a sequestered time, and nobody's allowed to talk to you but me right now. So that's I mean maybe your significant other. That might be the one chance. But on the good side of things, on the happy side of things, on the fun side of things, as we've been talking about the last several weeks and episodes, World of Warcraft on the highest of highs right now.
Oh yeah.
I have continued. I have quested already now more than I ever did in the totality of Dragonflight. I've kind of held back even completing some quests because I'm like, I'm getting through them all now, and I don't want it to end, and I want to keep having my quest log full, but eventually I'll work through this stuff. But I'm just having so much fucking fun. It's just that itch in my brain is back and scratching it every night by doing world quests and delves and side quests and all this stuff. Like, this is the highest of highs, baby. This is as good as it gets. And,
Dude, it's a really good time, man. Like
yeah.
they've at every level, I feel like, because for a more casual player, you've got the ability to get gear and level up and do delves and push to your kind of raid tier content, which is the Zekvir challenge mode dungeon. So you've got that progression layer. But then if you're a raider, or if you're someone more hardcore, then you've got that to enjoy on top of what you'd usually do. Like all through Dragonflight, I pretty much it got to a point where I'd only log on for raids. There was pretty much no reason to log on during the rest of the week. But now it's like, and because of warbands, it's like it feels viable to gear up ults and, you know, make powerful ults thanks to delves and warbands. So I just find it way more reasons to log on now, even as someone who was pretty hardcore before. So it's been a really good shout, man. It's been awesome.
Been so good. And you know, it was even so good that I couldn't help but think about, you know, where I was in my delve track and what I wanted to do when this past week the WWE came to town, and I was at the SmackDown show Friday night. So if you look in the crowd, you actually could see me and my son. We were on TV a whole bunch of times, and he had
that's amazing.
For LA Knight, because that's one of his guys, and it was so much fun.
That?
What's that?
Where was it? Where was the SmackDown recording?
They were in Sacramento on Friday night, and you know, it just, like, where we in Warcraft are having the highest of highs and good times right now, like, they are having their own renaissance. So like these two things sort of colliding at the same time. I mean, it's been phenomenal. But seeing a live show,
it's a good time.
Bro, I haven't seen one in 20 years because I was out. I wasn't watching it. I wasn't active, and now coming back to it and seeing it live, and we got possibly one of the best dark matches of all time, because after they'd gone off TV, right? And you know, they did a brand split a long time ago, and it was Raw and it was SmackDown. Yeah. Well, we got Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso from Raw. They were there at SmackDown after the cameras went off, and the two of them had a match, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It was badass.
Oh my god, that's really funny, right? Because I saw a meme the other day where it was like it was like trolling Jey Uso, and it was like, "Where's Jey Uso? He's never on TV," and stuff like that. And it's like, well, clearly he's active. He's doing dark matches and stuff.
He's there. To show you. Yeah.
It's a small world, dude. And I tell you why. I've got a friend who told me they were at the SmackDown recording this past week as well.
Oh, really?
Microsoft. Yeah. So there's someone I know from Microsoft who was at SmackDown as well recently. That's crazy.
Well, they saw an amazing show.
Team, actually.
What was this?
So, someone from the Halo team.
Someone from the Halo team. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, listen. It was worth the travel if they were from outside of the local area, but certainly locally, that was, and it's the only show we're getting. There's nothing like in San Francisco or San Jose or anywhere else that they typically will stop, kind of up here with the big arenas. So this was the one stop, and man, we got our money's worth. That's for damn sure. So riding the highest of highs, it's phenomenal. It's just such a good time to be part of these communities. But like I said, even then, having all this fun, still thinking about, okay, I gotta get home tonight, and I gotta bang out this bountiful delve because I need to get this shit done, and I want to, not because I feel compelled as a raid team wanting me to do it. Like, it's just fun. So let the good times roll, and we've certainly got some of that to talk about today. But before we do, Jazz, I have a wonderful metal album of the week this week, and ooh, I want to ask you a question.
Hey, man.
You're an expert on this. What would you say is the greatest export from your native country?
The greatest export?
Yes.
It's coincidental again, because I was literally telling someone on Twitter yesterday that one of Britain's biggest exports is music and entertainment and TV and, you know, TV format. Oh, yes. A lot of the footage you watch on Discovery Channel, that's from the BBC Natural History Unit, you know. So, like, yeah, it was weird that you say that. So, yeah, metal, I suppose, Black Sabbath is often regarded as one of the
That's true.
And I've got you. I don't know. Have I told you this story before about Black Sabbath and my family?
All I know is that you hail from the same region or something to that effect.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, indeed. Yes. So the Black Sabbath are from the Black Country, which is it's a region of England referred. Historians think that they call it the Black Country because it's where all the coal mines were, and the sky was black, and the houses were covered in coal soot, and they were black, and everything was black in this region. And Black Sabbath is from Birmingham and Wolverhampton sort of region, which is sort of where my family's from. And Ozzy Osbourne's brother, Tony Osbourne, who's no longer with us, sadly, owes my mother a carpet.
Those are what?
He owes my mother a carpet. So he said he would. My mum paid him or something to lay down some carpet on our landing, and he never did it. There you
Dirty,
go.
rotten scoundrel. Unbelievable.
Something like that.
That's a hell of a metal connection right there.
Yeah.
Well,
he's
you
a
are
strange brother. But
you are
brother.
on the right track. You are on the right track.
Ooh.
But there is a single individual, and I don't know how many people actually associate this individual with metal itself. But if there was like one person that ever came out of the Empire, there's one person I think that contributed to the most things and in the greatest way, and that would be Sir Christopher Lee, right?
Oh yeah.
And Sir Christopher Lee has a great tradition within the metal community. He was a big fan and created a lot of metal himself. And his talents, his unique talents, were put to use in an album that I want all of you to listen to because, one, it's a great power metal album. Two, it's a concept album, so it's like a story all the way through, which I love. But three, it is narrated by Christopher Lee from start to finish. And this is Symphony of Enchanted Lands 2, The Dark Secret by Rhapsody of Fire. It is phenomenal.
I think I've heard of that, I think I've heard of that album. I
I
didn't know he had some sort of connection to metal. That's cool.
Oh, yes.
That's wild, though.
Yes, this was released. This is a 20-year-old album now. It was actually released nearly 20 years ago this week, September 27th, 2004. And he did some other, I think he did like a metal Christmas album, and he's done a bunch of different things. But, the man that was a spy, and of course he was Count Dooku in the Star Wars movie franchise. He was also the great Saruman in The Lord of the Rings, and contributed, to a million other things.
He was a villain in The Wicker Man as well, which is one of my favorite movies.
There you go.
There's
another one.
Man.
Scaramanga in James Bond movies. I think I'm saying that name right. It's been a minute. But he's a true legend. And when you fire up this album and there's a little bit of a musical interlude and you hear that unmistakable voice start telling you this story that's just, it's perfect for the power metal vein, and it's fantasy all the way through and through. And it's such a cool ass thing to pick up on. And Rhapsody of Fire, which was Rhapsody at one point and then became Rhapsody of Fire, they are a true power metal band. They're also another Italian power metal band, so continuing our tour through the boot on that one. But if you have not ever listened to this album out there, folks, I highly recommend it. It is available on all your platforms, wherever you look for. Although this is somewhat obscure, I promise it is out there. And Unholy Warcry, track number 2, that would be my favorite. So if you have not listened to it, get out there and get it done for the sake of Jez and all the fine folks that put forth the great British metal assault that's out there. Honor that great tradition. All right. Before we jump into a little bit of talk about the campaign and the raid, I have a rage topic that popped up this week that I know many of you can identify with, and we got to talk about this. So let's get to it.
Let's rage.
Jez, we talked about, lauded at the top of the show how great things are in Warcraft right now. And if ever there was a sign, truly, of how great things are, I myself am doing time walking dungeons through the LFG, which I haven't done in ever. Like I avoid random dungeon groups like the plague. I don't find it to be particularly nourishing for my soul. So whenever there's that time walking quest to get like 5 dungeons done or whatever, I'm like, well, fuck that. I guess that's not what I'm doing this week. But in the spirit of the new age of the World Soul Saga and the War Within and all the great times we're having, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it. Burning Crusade, time walking dungeon. There's a lot of stuff in there that scarred me as a young, new Warcraft player. But damn it, I'm going to go back. We're gonna make this right. Fired it up. Got into my first group. We're in the Blood Furnace. Bro, when's the last time you were in the Blood Furnace? Out there in Hellfire Peninsula. It's been forever since I've seen it. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And I see another warrior in the group. I'm like, yes, another warrior. Let's go. Let's get this done. And we start pulling. We pull the first trash pack. The other warrior hits his Blade Storm. And across my screen, I see him yelling, "Bwah!" like all across the screen. And I'm like, well, that's a fun macro. We get to the next trash pack. Bwah! He's hitting his whirlwind. And for the next, I don't know, 15 minutes, every time this dude hit whirlwind, or whoever, you know, whatever gender they are with this person, they hit the whirlwind, bwah! All the way across the screen.
That is so funny.
Listen, people, I can appreciate if you macro something like, let's say you've got an interrupt and you got to set an interrupt order and you say, okay, on to so-and-so, on to so-and-so. I'm passing that baton around. Please don't have super annoying ass macros where you're yelling stuff out all across the screen every time you hit an ability. It's just, it's obnoxious. And
I have noticed playing through Delves that you sometimes get players who don't have the usual group etiquette, I think, like that.
No. And this person was leveling through dungeons. I could see because, you know, they had, you know, the right level to see that they were, you know, this is their chosen path. And I weep for all the other people that got grouped with this individual, that every time they hit a trash bag, every time they hit a boss, you knew that whirlwind just queued up and they mashed that button all the way across. And I was like, you know, I love being a warrior and I love my people, but this is a horrible example. You're making a terrible name for all of us out there. It's bad enough that Slayer is the worst hero talent system that we have ever had. Now you got to go out there and make us all look like assholes every time you hit that whirlwind and go, you know, out into Kingdom Come. So listen, folks. If you got a good interrupt and you gotta make an interrupt order and you gotta yell something out, cool. If you got like a one-word thing that you gotta say like, hey, everybody eat up when I put food out, that's cool. If there's instructional things that are helpful, that is cool. You're being a great person out there and that is phenomenal. But if you're just like obnoxiously yelling things every time, please give this poor old man a break, because this is why I don't do these dungeons. I'm trying to avoid these kinds of people, but I did get it done, Jez. I did get the questing done. I did get all 5 of my dungeons in, and I did legitimately have fun most of it, seeing some of the older Burning Crusade dungeons. But other people, man, I know it's an MMO, but sometimes it does make me question what I'm doing. I don't know. Is the art of being in a group, is that art, the etiquette of that, is that lost now forever to time?
I do find that, like, because browsing the subreddits and stuff like that, like, you get like American threads that are clearly made by an American, and then you get European threads clearly made by a European, and it does seem like there's just completely different cultures when it comes to some of this stuff. So, you know, like, yeah. I played on American Realms. Trade chat there in America is scary. It is scary in America.
Yeah.
And political. All arguments. 24/7. And then like you go on European trade chat and they're talking about furries or something like that. And being kawaii on Maine.
Not for the faint of heart, brother.
No.
All right, well, listen, folks, you heard it here first. Let's bring some etiquette back. I'm not saying it's got to be totally 100% like you're eating dinner with the queen kind of etiquette, but just, you know, just enough to be courteous. So with that being said, we got some news and some other things we're going to talk about. Since we got one resident raider left here on this show, we got to pick his brain a little bit. So let's get into that news. So since we last were here, the raid has been out. Nerebar Palace, that's been out for a little bit here. And we've got the race for World First. Talk about that in a little bit. And we've got the story mode that's out. Going to talk about that in a little bit. A couple LFR wings. Talk about that in a little bit. But first, Jez, as the sole remaining active raider in this podcasting twosome of ours, what has your experience with the raid been like so far? Thoughts, opinions, reviews? What do you think about it?
So, I really like the raid. I think it's a bit short, and honestly, I found it a bit easy so far. It feels like the only difficult bosses are right at the end, and the difficulty spike is massive. So it's like you're having like this really pleasant time. Have you seen that meme where it's like, you know, the dude's like smiling and happy, and he's having like a really pleasant time and just chilling, and then like there's like a meme next to it, which is the next scene, and there's a dude sweating at his keyboard, smashing the keys, freaking out. It really feels like that between the tiers, and so like you get to the council, and it's like you've pretty much one or two shot every boss up to this point, and then all of a sudden it takes this massive difficulty spike. So the difficulty spikes have been a bit weird, and I think it speaks to the lack of tuning I think the dungeons had in general, and no, the expansions had in general, honestly, because so many things I feel like haven't been tested that well. You know, the hero talents are being reworked. The delves have been undergoing masses of tuning constantly. So I feel like they've spread themselves thin a bit, and balance in general has suffered in Dragonflight, I think. But it's cool thematically, and you know, maybe because my guild we only ever do ahead of the curve. We never push into heroic. We never push into mythic. Sorry, we only do heroic. So like maybe I'm starting to wonder, like, because of how easy this has been, will we get gear fast enough that we can actually maybe push into mythic this time? Has Blizzard done this intentionally to try and increase the amount of people that actually do get to mythic? Because you know, I think most guilds kind of chill in heroic and then maybe get stuck at mythic. But I don't know. It's been fun. It's been interesting. Doing it earlier. We've almost cleared heroic already. I
was going to ask raid. how far are you now in heroic?
We got 3 bosses to go, I think. So the 3 harder ones, funnily enough. But up until this point, we've one-shotted or two-shotted every boss.
Pretty good for week 2.
Yeah, so I think part of it is tier 8 delves just give you such good gear that we've sort of skipped the usual gotta get gear cycle, you know. Because you can solo, well, some classes can at least solo a tier 8 delve. You get like really good gear, and it just sort of it eliminates the point of doing normal mode raids completely, pretty much. So I think they need to fine tune some of that aspects of it, the balance, how much gear delves give you. I mean, as much as I appreciate delves and what it's doing for casual play, it's kind of screwing up the usual, I don't know, raid balance. I think on some regards, made normal mode raids pretty much useless. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's always been interesting to me that normal mode raid at this point it's like an afterthought. It's almost like it's just, you know, back in the old days when it was 10 and 25 person, right? Those were kind of the differentiations between the raids, and then you had some hardcore modes where you could push a button and do a thing, and then, you know, when they added the heroic version, like, okay, we're doing normal, we're doing heroic, like heroic, that's the big jam. But then they added 20 person mythic, and it's like, okay, well, how are you going to tune this thing? Like, who is this for? Long term, who is this for? What are you looking at? And so I know for myself, never been part of a Mythic team. I know that seems to be what everybody thinks that they are when you're recruiting. So I don't know how that's going. I can tell you that so far LFR has been pretty typical. That is the one version of raiding that I am participating in, and it is the usual hijinks that one would expect, but getting to see the raid that way has been educational, as always, and it seems like it's a fun enough raid. I did do the story mode. The story mode, we talked about story mode. Story mode is out, and I was surprised that they did it before they released the third wing of LFR, but it's okay. So today we are going to be talking about the end of the raid, and we're going to talk about kind of where the story ends up a bit. So if you don't want to hear any of this discussion, like, fast forward, sorry. But there's a very important elephant in the room that we need to talk about. With story mode, it is revolutionary to me because it proves that you can do raids solo, that you can have an entire group of AI and one live person, and you can make these things work, because that's essentially what they did. When you go in and you fight Queen Ansarek by yourself, you pop into the story mode raid and it's you and 9 other AIs, and it was fun. Went right in, did the business. You still got to do mechanics, you still got to do different things, right? It's not a complete, you can't just stand there and just get it done. You actually do have to participate and get things done. But to me, it is fairly revolutionary, improving the tech. And now I don't know how complicated it can get, where it has certain breakpoints where it's like, oh, this is too much, I can't handle it. But it I don't know. It seems like a fairly positive trial balloon to see if that is going to work. But I did story mode. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and we got the kill. You don't get any loot out of it or anything like that. It's just to see it, to see how it ends, and to kind of finish the whole
you
thing.
get a ruined harbinger quest. That's pretty awesome.
You get a what now?
A ruined harbinger.
Oh, the crest. Yeah.
So that crafts you a 616 piece of gear if you buy the right mats for it.
There you go. So you do get that. That is true. You do get that. There's a little bit of work involved, but you do get that piece. So I have that sitting in my bag.
Yeah, the mats will bankrupt you. Yeah, but it's like a double-edged sword, I suppose.
Maybe towards the end of the season, but for now, that's where you end up. But the main thing, right? Story mode, as the name implies, it gives you a chance to see how it ends up. And so, how does it end up? Jez, I don't know if Quentin Tarantino is somehow infiltrated the Blizzard storytelling or cinematic department or design, or what the deal is. Somebody over there has a clear and distinct foot fetish, because my God, every time we're seeing something with Xal'atath, it's got to be feet. And in the cinematic at the end of the raid, when you kill Queen Ansarek and she appears, basically to say like, yeah, well, you were a means to an end. Tough shit, bro. There is a shot that is literally you just like looking at Queen Ansarek's head there on the ground as she's dying, and the feet descend and give you a good shot of the toes and the toe rings and the whole thing, and then she comes to the ground.
Detailed,
and it's been
too.
Jesus Christ, it's been everywhere, and I'm sure for the foot fetishists among us, this is the godsend of all godsends. And listen, I'm not here to kink shame necessarily, but holy shit, bro. Is it really Xal'atath that people are lusting for, or is it the digits? It's the
purple pinkies.
It's the purple pinkies.
I don't know, man. I honestly didn't notice it until I saw the memes, because I don't know, I'm not so inclined, I suppose. But
yeah,
I was impressed when people actually pointed out, and then I went looking for it. I was like, oh my God, there's actually There's a lot of detail in these pinkies.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I don't know. It's funny.
It is it has been hilarious to watch as Xal'atath has become this, centrally lusted over figure in many respects through the WoW community since she was first introduced. And don't get me wrong, great model. The way that they've set this up, I can see the appeal on many levels. It's just hilarious to me also that this one has feet, and we never see anybody that's just kind of dangling them out there like that. And, they did a good design. They look great. But for the story itself, all right, that's pretty much where it ends up, is not a lot of to do. Queen Ansarek, means to an end, was a distraction. The whole thing with the Nerubians, right, was meant to be, hey, look over here. Look over there. While Xal'atath is over here trying to steal Beladar's power. And of course, we know that didn't quite work out. But I did notice in this cinematic, after you kill Queen Ansarek, the Dark Heart does not appear. You don't see that with Xal'atath.
Oh, I did not notice that.
So when you go back, if you go back and look, like in her hands are empty. If at some point she clasps them together as she's sort of taunting Ansarek because she's dying. But she does not have the Dark Heart with her. So now that that's been damaged, I don't think it's been destroyed. I think it's just been damaged. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does she have to drop it off at the shop somewhere? Where do you think that's at?
I honestly don't know. I would presume, because we saw it crack a bit. We didn't see it get destroyed.
Yeah.
So I suppose you're getting it repaired.
Is that an Iridicron thing?
Yeah, is that she gone to Iridicron's Dark Heart repair shop or something?
He's in there. He's got his goggles on, or his protection mask on while he's out there, doing a little metal work. I don't know. Maybe it's glass work. I don't know. What do you got on the front of that thing? I guess it's glass, huh? We do like a little stained glass work. Go to a glass shop. Go to one of those glass blowers. Maybe that's what Iridicron's doing. He's full of hot air. All right, he's a dragon. He's just doing glass work. That's what he's been doing. So now he's got to make like a replacement cap. That's what it is. But interesting to see. No Dark Heart, but she's still out there doing her thing. She disappears into a fog, and that's kind of where we are as far as the story goes. We've at least for the time being, we have stopped Xal'atath from doing whatever it was she was trying to do with Beladar and the Dark Heart. We've stopped Queen Ansarek. They were trying to ascend all of these various Nerubians, but her plans essentially backfired. Everybody's turned on her, and now we'll just end up rooting out corruption down there in her land now that she's gone. And it kind of wraps it up fairly nicely as far as that part goes. But Jez, where do you think we go from here?
I honestly don't know, man. I keep trying to work this out because there's so many aspects to this. Like you mentioned Iridicron. Like, what's his role to play in this? Is he just biding his time waiting for the Titans to show up or something? Yeah. But it says in Chronicle the Titans are dead, but are they dead? Did the Titans truly die? All this, there's a lot of, I don't know, aspects and conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff popping up. I've been trying to sometimes I can make some good predictions about where stuff like this is going to go. But on this, I am stumped, man. I haven't got a slightest clue. I haven't got a clue. And it's kind of nice to not have a clue, to be honest. Because that means it's not obvious, right?
I feel like they're doing their job, if that's how we feel. You know what I mean? It takes the magic out of it. I guess that's maybe the best way to say it. Like, oh yeah, I know where we're going. I know what we're doing. This is what it's going to be. And they've given us somewhat of a roadmap to the general future. But as far as patch to patch,
you can infer a bunch from just the titles of the expansions.
That's about as far as we get.
So we got the Midnight, which refers to darkness, I guess, which is the next one. And then after that, you got the Last Titan. Now, that could mean a lot of things. That could mean
A lot.
Stargrass. We never saw him really truly dead.
Mm-hmm.
He's still out there technically.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Azeroth. And God, what else? You know, I've even seen a crazy theory that Xalatath is a world soul, not a old god.
Ooh.
So there's that too. God knows where this is all going. But you know, from the dev interviews with Maria Hamilton,
mm-hmm.
she was hinting that they'd already worked out the major story beats,
mm-hmm.
which potentially risky, because that means they're sitting there in a document somewhere, and everyone at Blizzard knows the story, and if someone gets laid off and feels salty about it, that could leak that shit to some asshole like me. Email and description, but I would, even if someone leaked that to me and it would get like 1 million hits, there's no way in hell I would spoil the story of expansion that is like miles and miles out. But it's just I don't know, man. Do you have any ideas? What are you thinking?
Well, we're underground, right? We're underground.
Sure are.
And I know for a long time we've heard these rumblings about some sort of goblin something underground.
Undermine.
Undermine. There you go. And I could see somehow that being, out of left field. Like, hey, we're underground. There's this area. We need some help with this thing or whatever it is. And now we're pulled into some other area zone. Because one of the things that you'd mentioned before was that, this whole expansion is very vertical. And so the lands themselves, it's not the biggest land mass, right, that we've ever had. And so I could see them kind of bringing in other smaller areas of like, ooh, we've never explored this. Ooh, we've never explored this. And finding, allies and different things. My secret hope is that something transitions with Belladar because of whatever Xalatath was doing. Like, it was enough to disrupt, I don't know, the cocoon of that Naru or whatever was happening in there. Because I have a little bit of a crazy theory on my own. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, because this is my biggest clue. Oh god damn it. Where are the zones? The zone names are slipping my mind.
Ringing Deeps.
Ringing Deeps.
Azkaban.
Ringing Deeps. When you're on the surface on the Isle of Dorn, there is at least one, if not two. I know of one elevator that you can take down to the Ringing Deeps, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a portal that you can take to get to Azkaban. Is there something like that to get to Hallowfall? I don't think so.
Don't know.
Not that I'm aware of. And if that is true, if I just haven't found it, then okay, please correct me, someone, because that is annoying the shit out of me. But if I'm right and there isn't, I think Hallowfall changes. I think something happens to Hallowfall. I think Hallowfall gets phased in some way. And something major disrupts that land, and something goes on in there, because it's if it was static, I feel like there would be some way to be able to portal in or go in or do something. But if something gets massively disrupted in there, they don't want to have that and then take it away and then have to kind of explain this through some weird phasing tech. So I don't know. I think some bad shit goes down in Hallowfall. I think something major like fucks that place up. So
yeah, but you don't invest. Like, just talking from an analytical perspective, you don't invest in an environmental feature like Belladar for it to not be significant in somewhere. I completely scans with me. Yeah.
Something big. So that's, kind of where we are right now. We've got our own theories. Of course, we'd love to hear any of y'all's out there. So please hit us up and we'll talk about it on the show. One of the things that you brought up before too is how long is this patch going to last? Because we talked about like the 20th anniversary and stuff like that. And there is data mining to suggest that patch 11.0.5 will go live October 22nd, so in a month, and go until January 4th of 2025.
So that's the anniversary stuff, right?
Right.
Oh.
So
season 1 all the way through to January? Quite a long time.
I was going to say, if that is the case, do you think that that's going to be an issue, or do you think that the holiday season kind of fills in some gaps there and makes it less challenging?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the content for that mini season revolves around the anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We have only seen a little bit of it so far, and it hasn't hit. It hasn't hit the PTR yet. If I'm thinking correctly, right?
I think there's some of it on there.
Right. I would not be surprised if we see, like, because there's some class hero tree reworks there.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of them.
Mm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the dev work right now is basically finishing the game. What they should have done in beta, really. But oh well, this is modern game. This is modern game development now. Everything's the last minute. Yeah.
Well,
so
and
I don't know if they'll release any major story beats, but they have hinted in previous interviews when I was talking to them about story, they did sort of say through Dragonflight we did add these little storylines, and there were like a bunch of extra little storylines here and there that they added in mini patches, not even like seasonal patches. So
it's true.
So actually, yeah, maybe they will.
And we don't even know. We have no idea what's on the 2025 roadmap because they haven't released it. We haven't seen anything beyond this, essentially what's going to be this anniversary patch. Yeah. So
we haven't released the roadmap at all yet.
Nope.
They did that before for Dragonflight, but not this one for some reason.
We haven't seen it. We've seen 2024, right? Starting in Dragonflight, mystery pirate patch, like all the way through to the 20th anniversary for us at the end of this year, which looks like they're going to hit all the time posts that they wanted to hit. But yeah, it's still a bit of a mystery and going to be interesting to see. And I assume that within, I don't know, got to be within a few weeks, we're going to start hearing something about what's next or what's getting talked about out there. And I know our man on the street, Jez Corden, will be right there first in line for interviews with those fine Blizzard devs once it happens.
I hope so.
They pay some respect to the man. Last thing on the raid itself, the race for world first is on, and oh, look at that, it's Liquid, Echo, and Method in the top 3. Oh boy, what a surprise, what a shock. God, it's probably the one thing I'm the biggest asshole about is like I desperately want to see new blood. I need to see some new teams.
We could have a separate podcast about issues with esports, but there's just money. There's just no money in it for all but the absolute top of the top, best of the best, and that's there's just no money. There's just no money in it. So unless you like someone who's sponsored by AMD or Intel or something like that, you ain't really gonna see much new blood there, I think. And it's a shame, but that's the problem. That's the problem with sport. Like, everyone in the world sort of believes in soccer. I'll say soccer for the Americans listening.
Thank you.
Soccer. Everyone in the world except America believes in soccer. So there's just abundant sponsors for that. But not enough people in gaming, in the industry, or gamers, I suppose, really care about esports. And because it's like per game basis, you get like a niche of a niche. So like it's a niche. So if World of Warcraft is a niche of the overall gaming pie, then it's a niche of that niche who are into the esports, which severely limits how much money there is, and therefore by proxy severely limits how many new bloods you're gonna get, unfortunately. And I know Microsoft doesn't really care about esports from very frank conversations I've had with people there. So it's a shame, but it is what it is.
Can you say soccer one more time for us?
Soccer.
God, I love it.
Soccer.
That is a dead on. That is a dead on
what's-
American accent. Thank you.
I'm pretty good at American accent. What's the national football league they're called? The
NFL?
The soccer one. No, the soccer one.
Oh, MLS, Major League Soccer.
MLS, Major League Soccer. Only on CNN Sports. Or whatever sports channel you have there.
ESPN. That is damn good, sir. That is. I'm gonna send that in. I got a voiceover guy. Talk to my man Jez. That was brilliant.
I'd love to do some voiceover work.
It's the dream of every podcaster, you know.
Yeah.
Is to get in and be like, please, dear God, let me do this ad for corn nuts or whatever. Yeah, for Race for World First, if I use the example Bad News Bears, does that mean anything to you? Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Okay. There's a wonderful American film called The Bad News Bears. This goes back, it's like late 70s, early 80s. And it's essentially about like a terrible team of children on a little league team, on a baseball team for kids, that they're terrible, their coaches are drunk, like it shouldn't work, but yet they go out and they kick ass and take names. Like that is the kind of team that I'm looking for to enter the Race for World First. It's just some ragtag bunch of nobodies to come in there and just kick ass and take names. That when that day happens,
That'd be awesome.
Shit, I'll sponsor that team. I don't have a lot of money to give, but I'll give them something. And Unshackled Fury, happy to sponsor the ragtag bunch of nobodies that want to take down the Race for World First muckety mucks. That'd be the best. In the meantime, as you alluded to earlier, Mr. Gordon, you put out an article, wonderful article, earlier this week. Well, you also had your review for The War Within, which was also wonderful. I encourage everyone to go over to windowscentral.com and check that out. But you had one this past week about balance when it came to endgame solo play. And it's something that we've seen, as you mentioned earlier again, Blizzard is really struggling, it seems like, with the difficulty of the delves specifically. And what should that be for solo play? What should that be for group? How does that break down? Who is this supposed to be for? And for folks maybe that haven't checked it out yet, what did you have to say about this specific topic about solo delves and sort of the challenges that Blizzard's facing right now?
Well, the title of the article was something along the lines of delves are awesome, but the balance is a nightmare right now. Because Blizzard, like I even wrote in the article, by the time this article goes out, Blizzard probably will have hotfixed it again, and lo and behold, they actually did. So, and fair play to them. Like the rapid iteration is what you want to see when you've got a new feature that maybe isn't landing as well as it should or could be. So, it's good to see them, working hard to try and fix some of these issues. But at the same time, there are issues, and the issues for me are twofold, and I want to know if you agree with me on this, because you're the yin to the yang of when it comes to the fact that it's designed for more casual players at the end of the day. But raiders like me are using it to supplement gear. I'm running it for gear for raiding, which is kind of like defeats the point of raiding. Before we would have had to run normal mode, to prepare for heroic, and now we don't. We just run Bountiful Delves. We'd have to run, Mythic Plus for gear, and now we don't because of Delves. So I think the reward, the risk to reward ratio is a bit off, and it's off for me as a demonology warlock, because My Felguard is like having a personal prot warrior with me. And he just tanks everything while I just stand in the back chilling. And in the same article, I wrote about how my Disc Priest, which is like my second, it's like my ult, you know, my main ult, I suppose you could call it. My Disc Priest, by comparison, is having a fucking awful time. I can very barely get through or scrape through, crawling on my hands and, well, my Forsaken doesn't have knees, but if my Forsaken had knees, I'd be crawling on them to finish this fucking delve, because it's so tough. The enemies have so much HP, just mountains of HP, and if all I'm doing there is Shadow Word Pain and smite, trying to very slowly smite them down, it is a rough experience. And Brand does no DPS, there's no damage, so I can't really rely on him. And yeah, so like the divergence in my experience between my Warlock and my Disc Priest is huge. And yeah, Disc Priests historically are not designed for soloing, but that's the issue here. They've built this as a solo content. So is it solo content for certain specs, or is it solo content for everyone? Because, like, you know, even as Shadow, I really struggled with it, because Shadow ain't very durable. You know, if you can't fear something, you just get smacked in the face, and you very slowly die, and you're squishy. You know, it's not like a Warlock can teleport away. I've got like Curse of Exhaustion to snare things on demand. You know, Shadow Priest, if I want to snare something in my Shadow Priest, I have to like stand still and channel a Mind Flay while the mob slowly walks to me and slaps me in the face. Oh, God. There's some like, you know, they have some abilities like the Void Tentacle Roots or whatever, but Warlocks are historically good at solo play, so they are just way more suited to this. But there's like a lot of knobs that could tweak or turn to change the situation here. So like if the game detects that, oh, there's a Disc Priest in here who has no damage, you know, we should probably boost Brand's DPS by 200% in this scenario, you know. Or like, I'm interested how they're going to handle some of that weird balance issues that have arisen as a result of the system. But on a high level, I think it's really important for the game. And if they get it right, if they can nail it, it'll be something that'll expand WoW's footprint to those solo players who historically have felt there's no gear progression they can really get out of the game. So I think for me, in closing, it'd be I really want to see every class have as easy time as my Warlock. I really want to see them also really check to see how the amount of loot you get from it and the quality of the loot. Because when you do a Bountiful Delve, you are guaranteed champion gear on tier 8. When I do a Mythic Plus dungeon, which takes a lot longer, is a lot more painful, especially if I'm tanking or healing, dealing with randoms, I'm not even guaranteed loot at the end of that fucking run. That half an hour miserable slugfest for like a tier 4 or 5 with a bunch of people who are undergeared for it, after organising the group and dying a million times, being yelled at, all that stuff. And then I'm not even guaranteed loot at the end. So I can do all that stuff and get a piddling little handful of Valor Stones, which is a whole other problem with this season. Where the fuck are the Valor Stones? There ain't any. So that's how I feel about it right now, as someone who, you know, is PvE oriented. But how do you feel about it as someone who, you know, like we were saying, joking about earlier, kids, busy, can't, you know, play all day like the old days, dad responsibilities, things I'm not aware of myself yet. But how do you feel about it?
It's been such a breath of fresh air, just generally, right? Where my personal schedule is this, where, you know, I go to work, got work during the day, whatever, come home, we got dinner, we got, you know, hang out with the kid, chill with my wife, watch a show, and then she'll go to bed, and because she always goes to bed earlier than me, and then I'll get maybe an hour to 90 minutes a night where I can do what I want to do. And with the availability of something like a delve, even within an hour, right, it gives me enough time to run a delve, maybe 2 if they're going kind of fast, bang out a couple world quests, and then I feel like every night, every day that I play, I'm making some progress towards something. And with the delves specifically, in terms of their sort of their challenging nature and how they're tuned, there is sort of a point where you want it to be challenging, but not to the point where like, it's going to take me a month to gear up to do this, or 2 months or longer, or it's going to take me a whole season. Like the journal, the delve journal or whatever, when you go to Bran and there's that journal on the table and you can look at it and see like your season progress.
Yeah.
I don't know how many delves you have to run to fill that thing up, but it is a fuck ton, because I know I've run a ton of these things and I'm not even at the first little node, and there's however many of them there are. You know, you get some of the schematics for the flying thing and all that, you know, the whatever, the dirigible, whatever that thing is. That feels a little off, I'll be honest. Like, if I got to run 10,000 delves to fill that thing up, I'll never make it, and that just feels defeating. But I'm at tier 8 right now. That's where I'm at. And honestly, I feel like the level of challenge for that is probably appropriate for the level of gear and for my skill level and all of that. And so I'm working now I need a few more pieces. I need a few more things to kind of help get me up to that next step, because I did jump in and I took on a few early trash packs and started getting owned a little quicker, than I was before. And I'm like, okay, I think I need a little bit more help. And so I feel like it's about where it should be, but at the same time, like you said, the companion that you have in a delve really makes a difference. Because if you have, let's say, something, like, what you have for warlocks, or maybe like hunters have, or something like that, you have some other entity that you can put out to help you tank or take the beating while you're blowing them up. Yeah, that is a huge help. If you've got Bran, everybody's complaining about Bran's DPS. I have to use him as a healer, and sometimes he's great, and sometimes I'm like, where is he? What happened? Like, sometimes he's over healing me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a badass, and I'm just blowing all this stuff up, and then I'll get to the next thing, and I'm like, where are all my potions? Where are all my heals? Like, what's going on? I'm getting owned. And so, there's a little bit of variability in there that can make a difference. And I haven't played any of the other classes yet to go through a delve, but there is inherently going to be imbalance just because of the nature of how certain classes are able to solo content. And part of that challenge for Blizzard is are you able to make such minute changes where you can specify to the spec or to something like that, to that effect of, we're gonna move the variables around a little bit. So if you're this, you get a little bit more of something or a little bit less of something. Are they able to tweak it within there, or is it just this is the flat rate for each one and this is how it goes, and we'll try to make it easier or harder? Or if it's supposed to be solo, all I saw were people like, oh hey, just grab a buddy and do it as a 2 or a 3 or whatever, and you blast right through it. You don't have to solo any of this stuff. Well, that defeats the whole fucking purpose. It should be harder as a group. It should be damn near impossible as a group. Like, it's supposed to be solo stuff, and I'm being a little facetious when I say that, but the point being is, if it's supposed to be for solo play, don't make it easier in a group. Like, it should scale crazily if you're going in as 2 or 3 or whatever. Maybe 2's okay because you're doing it with a partner, and I kind of get that. But
I kind of feel like if you are doing a tier 8 5-man delve with a guaranteed piece of loot at the end, it should feel like doing I don't know, whatever the equivalent Mythic Plus run is that rewards that tier of loot at the end. And right now it doesn't. It's brainless. If you're doing a tier 8 with 5 people, pretty much brainless. Instant loot, easy. Don't even need a good composition for the group, really. as long as there's a Blood Death Knight tank in it, like, you don't even need a healer. Blood Death Knight heals himself. So it's the balance is whack, and I think like the way that it rewards loot is potentially problematic for other parts of the game, especially since Mythic Plus doesn't reward loot, but guaranteed loot at least. So I don't know, man. I suppose it remains to be seen how it affects the health of the game. But I think the idea is that it will appeal to people who are like, I will never group. And I think Blizzard's mission of making content for that cohort is absolutely admirable and important, and that should be the goal. But they've really got to be careful not to undermine what they've already got. Those are the people who fund the game basically right now. They want to expand to new markets and new audiences. And I've heard recently, for example, that there is a team working on how the game will handle on a controller. It's not like a big team. It's not like a primary objective. Almost like a side project kind of team. But I have heard they are actively working on what does WoW look like with a controller. And because of the popularity of console port, the console port add-on, which lets you play it on Steam Deck with a controller. Now that's a similar situation where it's like some classes work great with the controller. Like Ret Paladin or Death Knight. I've only got 2 action bars on my Death Knight. And you can easily map those. Use like the shoulder buttons as shift keys, and then like the face buttons as ability buttons. You've got like a whole bunch of keybinds there.
Yeah.
But I'm a disc priest. How the fuck am I going to specifically target people with a joystick? It's going to be very hard,
Yeah, that's what I've always wondered. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're going to do more automatic healing stuff if you're using the controller, like the way Chain Heal works, where it prioritizes lower health people. Like there are things that can do there, but again, it's like the expanding to new audiences. Like it's a roundabout sort of way of talking about how they're expanding to new audiences with delves, and it can't be at the detriment of the other parts of the game. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's there's always going to be people that look to. I don't know if exploit is the right word, but maximize everything to their advantage when it comes to min-maxing, exactly. And there's almost nothing you can do. There will always be those people that fight over the difference between 0.01% of something. Like that's just always going to be out there. So philosophically, are you creating for them or are you creating for the other folks? This has been my argument for the longest time, is that race for world first. All due respect to the folks that do that. They're the top of what they do. They're the best at what they do. But is that really who we need to cater the game for? I don't think so, because a lot of those folks are hit it and quit it. Where they come in, they gear up, they do the thing, they bang it out, we get it done on Mythic, hey, hooray, and then where do they go? They disappear for the next 5 months. Like to me, that's not the core audience. That's not the core player. That's certainly not who I make this podcast for, or we make this podcast for. It's for a broader audience, and that's what I think they need to be thinking about. And to your point, bringing in more folks. Got to bring in more folks. And for years, I know Navox, a friend of the show, former co-host. He's been screaming about put it on Xbox. Let's get the controllers out. Let's make that port happen for World of Warcraft forever. And way better than I do, I'm sure, that when that happens, there's going to be a huge influx of people to World of Warcraft who've never touched it or haven't in a long time, because that's now a way for them to access this game that is way more economical and way more familiar in many respects. So
it won't just be Xbox either. Like if they do this, it's going to be PlayStation too. Like they won't make it Xbox exclusive, because Blizzard is a multi-platform studio at the end of the day. True. So like it'd be like if Xbox would blow it up a considerable amount, PlayStation would really blow it the fuck up. Like seriously, you get people who lapse players who come back, try it again. You get if they market it well, and so you can play it solo. Here's the delves and all this stuff. They get those people back. So it's a big opportunity. That's why getting delves right is absolutely super important. It can't be like, I feel like when they added the looking for dungeon thing, for example, they added that in Wrath, where it was just like random players, whatever. It changed the game in not always the best way. So like it was the sort of beginning of, but the whole industry's gone this way since then. So it's not really just WoW's fault, but it really changed the community in some ways, I think, for the worst. And I think it did contribute to the big drop off we saw in Cataclysm, because like there was this huge, massive influx in Wrath, and then when Cataclysm rolled around, a lot of the community aspects of the game had been sort of eroded and destroyed, and people didn't feel so beholden to the game anymore. I don't know, but even if that example isn't accurate, there are sort of other times when they've added something and it's sort of not gone down well. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the scaling, because I know you and I are both pretty invested in this system and how this is going on. And I mean, overall, right, working out great, and it's
great. Yeah, overall,
it's the fine tuning, as you said. It's kind of the nature of development these days, is you're still putting the tracks in front of the cart as it's going down the road, to some extent. But one other thing I wanted to touch on with the delves is, I'm sure if you've been around any of the stuff, you've heard about Zekfir's Lair, this sort of boss of the delves, if you want to think of it that way, the end boss of delves. And we've talked about it on the show before. If anyone's interested in such thing, you may have seen him when you're in a delve. I know I've seen him at least a few times, and none of those times were good for me, because there were still like 10 other mobs in the room, and I got smoked. And you do get an achievement for getting killed by him, which was a nice little, nudge in the ribs there.
That's a nod to the Butcher from Diablo.
There you go.
Diablo can just randomly spawn in dungeons and smack your face in as well.
That's right. That's right.
But,
I totally forgot about that. So there you go. So
cool.
it's a nice little nod. But for folks looking to get a more static version of this that you can overcome, there is an initial difficulty for Zekfir's Lair, an actual place that you can go and fight him after you clear a delve, tier 8 delve with revives remaining, or lives remaining. And there is a second difficulty, a harder difficulty, that's unlocked after you complete a tier 10 delve. And there are some things that you can get out of this. It's a long fight, so prepare yourself. From what I've seen from videos, it's solo play, so it's intended to test you kind of like a raid boss. It's going to take some time, and you got to do a lot of stuff, and you got to figure out how to kind of manage each aspect of the fight. So it's not just something where you walk in and kill the guy. He's got whatever 100 million health or some shit, so you got to be ready to put in the work. But if you're interested, if that's something that you've been looking for, that's how you get them. Good luck, because I got my ass kicked a bunch of times. I mean, that's not necessarily indicative of anything, because I'm not the greatest. But I don't know. Maybe if I was a warlock, it might be easier. Jez and I are running a little short on time, just for you folks, just because that's how life goes. And like I said, you better appreciate every hour we put in, because it is true cinema. But one last thing that I did want to touch on before we go is, Jez, it is Brewfest.
Yes, it is.
It is Brewfest. It is the for me, it is the official start of the best time of the year for World of Warcraft, as we go from Brewfest into Hallow's End. These are like the best times for World of Warcraft. I don't know why. For me, it's just the most nostalgic, I guess. So Brewfest going on right now, September 20th to October 6th. All the usual stuff. You can go get Corn Dire Brew. You can go race some rams. You can go get drunk. You can go stuff yourself with sausage. You can get, there's a Brewmaster title. There's rams. There's mounts. There's toys. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So, go to your parties, respective parties. Ironforge is always where I go for the Alliance side, folks. The other one's where? Orgrimmar?
Yes, I believe so.
There you go. For me, I'll always lament the fact that they had the Brewfest goggles, which cheated you of having to actually get drunk and see the pink Alex. And I think that is a horrible, horrible thing. You should make those children drink so they understand the dangers of being inebriated in public. But for you, Jez, do you participate at Brewfest? Does Brewfest hold any special meaning for you, or is it just another thing in the game that's not rating?
It's funny because I'm in Germany right now, and it's Brewfest here IRL.
Oh shit!
So like there's all the Oktoberfest stuff going on in my town and all that kind of stuff.
There it is.
It was when I saw it in Germany, I was like, oh, that means it's Brewfest in WoW. So I saw it there first because I was in the Alps last week. I had a little mini vacation for 3 days to the Alps, and there was some stuff there, preparing for it, and it was like, oh shit, Oktoberfest. But I've done all the Brewfest stuff.
Yeah.
So I got I wanted the title to make a Brewmaster alt at one point, and then I was like, shit, I actually really hate playing this class. So it was a waste of time. So yeah, I mean, it's fun and nice, a bit of flavor, right? But the rewards aren't that interesting. I was looking on MMO Champion earlier for what the rewards are this year, and they've added a Brewfest a dragon skin for the proto Drake from Dragonflight, and it's like, I ain't gonna ride a dragon ever again. I'm sick of them now. And the other things, like some of the older rewards, like a hat with a pretzel on it. Can't they do something better here? This is what I think they should do, right?
What should they do?
When it's a seasonal event, like Brewfest, Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever. It's always weird, by the way. We get the Thanksgiving event in Europe, and everyone's like, "What the fuck, Turkey? What is this shit?" It doesn't make any sense in Europe, but we get it anyway. But like Halloween, stuff like that. What they should do, right? They should give you, during those weeks, there should be a mythic affix or a delve affix that is related to the event, and just to add some more flavor. So like for delves, I don't know, it could be like the current affix for delves is Zekfir's influence. So Zekfir, the Hand of the Harbinger, will empower a random group of enemies, and then if you kill all three of the groups, you get some additional undercoin and journey progress to your progress bar, which none of us are ever going to finish. So that's the current affix. But what if like during Brewfest it was like your attacks have a random chance to douse your enemy in beer, and then your next crit sets them on fire or something. I don't fucking
Yeah.
like or I don't know, your attacks have a random chance to spawn a beer keg which you can drink to get a buff, or your enemies can drink to get a buff if you don't get it before they do. I don't know, something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, I think there's something that could make the events a bit more interesting, I think. But they've probably got bigger fish to fry right now, trying to fix those.
I was just thinking, like, for warriors, there's a talent you could take where you would have just randomly, as part of your white damage, you would just have like an extra, like a weapon throw. And
all right.
It'd be awesome if every once in a while, you like threw like a heavy sausage at somebody and like beamed them in the head with it, and it's like, oh, it's doing some extra damage. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like mechanical, because like they'd have to balance an affix and do all that stuff. Make it cosmetic like that. Maybe my crits throw, I don't know, snowball at the enemy during Christmas, or summon reindeers. Fucking I don't know.
That'd be badass.
Some people would be so grumpy about that though. They'd be like, oh, it's so dumb. I don't want to see Brewfest beers flying
Why
around.
are they wasting time on this?
Yeah, why are they wasting time on this? Yeah, it's like, you can't please everyone, I guess.
You haven't balanced anything. Oh, man. No. Stay away from those forums, folks. You never know what you're going to find. Yeah, Brewfest, like I said, ongoing. And it's going on until October 6th. So if that's your jam, and whatever form it's in, go and enjoy that. I know I always do, so I'll make my yearly pilgrimage and stop by for a hot minute. Remember, I've done everything, completed everything, and then I will leave. So enjoy if that is your thing. All right. I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those who don't already know, where can the good people find you on the internet, Jez?
I am over on Threads at Jez Corden, JZCorden, and also Twitter if you're still one of the few people still using that website. And wintercentral.com for all Warcraft coverage. Got some articles coming this week on Warcraft, actually doing so much Warcraft content recently. Yes. The Google gods have blessed us with some SEO juice finally on the game, so so doing some more on that, and also Diablo thing. So if you're just a general Blizzard gamer, we are trying to cover all the general Blizzard news, since they're now owned by the same company that owns Windows, which the site was founded on. So that's where you can find me.
There you go. All right, well, thank you, my friend, for another excellent episode. And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show as one of the few remaining on Twitter at Berserker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berserker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berserker. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our Bonus Roll Productions page. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources or unshackledfury.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.